We're going to talk DeAndre Hopkins and some more on today's show, but it's June. It's getting a bit dry, waiting for the NFL season to get here, and I was just thinking about week one. I was walking to work today thinking about curb stomping Joe Burrow and the Bengals week one. I don't know if it'll be a curb stomping, but I think the Browns are going to show the national media week one that this is an AFC contender, and they can do that by taking down one of the AFC juggernauts week one. And if you're with me, like the video to start the show. What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about the latest on DeAndre Hopkins because it seems like the Browns are one of five-ish teams really in the mix for him. They definitely are on the outside looking in, but if the Patriots are out on DeAndre Hopkins after some recent moves they were made, maybe the Browns stock is rising to get Hopkins. We're going to talk about that and more on the show. But let's start with this here from Ian Rapport, who tweeted out, the Patriots and wide receiver Devontae Parker reached an agreement on a 3-year new contract worth up to $33 million. It was at that point every single member of Browns Twitter stopped reading, quote tweeted it, and said, Hopkins going to Cleveland now. The Patriots are out of the mix. I was guilty of it too. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't know if it's absolutely like that. Now, I also don't know why they extended Devontae Parker. I mean, this is not going to be a Patriots channel, but our producer today, Nick Roloff, is a Patriots fan. So I wanted him to see these numbers because anytime you get a guy with 31 grabs and 539 yards, how can you not extend him for 3 years? I don't really understand why New England did this, but one reason may be to open up some cap space to get DeAndre Hopkins. Now, Mike Florio, in a recent article about this, said, according to multiple reports, the Patriots will continue to pursue Hopkins after signing Parker. There likely is no negative consequences for New England extending Devontae Parker in terms of landing DeAndre Hopkins in the grand scheme of things, right? Parker's extension likely, I've not seen the details yet, but it likely lowers his 2023 cap hit. What they can do is, hey, we know you're going to be on this team. We extended you and whatnot. So we're going to move some of your base salary into a signing bonus, guaranteeing you more money, and as a result, lowers your cap hit, which also frees up cap space to sign DeAndre Hopkins. Now, however, if you want to be the Brown Tiger and refuse to accept this maybe helping New England getting Hopkins, one spin zone I could say is the extension could remove some wide receiver cap space in 2024. Like, let's say New England doesn't want to spend more than X on the wide receiver room in 2024. Well, now you have Parker on the books for that year, and if Hopkins only wants to sign a 2-year contract, maybe the Patriots don't have money in 2024. This is a bit of a reach, I will admit. But this could be your spin zone if you are a diehard get Hopkins to Cleveland stan and you are looking for a way to turn this from a negative into a positive. Now, where do you guys think he will end up signing? Will it be New England? Will it be Cleveland? Like, not where do you want him to sign, but if you had to make a prediction, gun to your head, where's he going? For me, I'm going to offer a bit of a curveball, and I kind of laughed at this initially, but I thought about it more, and the Panthers are starting to make some sense to land DeAndre Hopkins. They were evidently lurking on him, according to Sal Paolantonio, and at first I was like, why would DeAndre Hopkins go to Carolina? Doesn't really make sense. He wants to win. You're not winning in Carolina. They're not going to win a lot of football games this year. But if one of the contending teams doesn't give him a competitive offer, maybe he looks at Carolina, right? And for the Panthers, I'm sure they'd love to have DeAndre Hopkins. He could help develop Bryce Young, really give Bryce Young a surefire blanket to throw to so he can stay on the field, right? On a 3rd and 9, just throw it up to Hopkins, move the chains, and live to see another down. Hopkins is from South Carolina, so this would be a sort of homecoming at the end of his career. The NFC South does not have a lot of teeth to it this year. You had 3 teams there win 7 games in 2022. So the NFC South could be a position where Hopkins goes, yeah, it's no contending team compared to the Browns or anything like that, but we could win the division and get a home playoff game, and anything can happen then. They also have a lot of cap space, $27.2 million to be exact. So So Carolina could throw a lot of cash over D-Hop's way. So that is the latest on Hopkins. And there was a big, hullabaloo about, Parker extended. Not going Hopkins out of New England. Probably not the case. If anything, maybe it helps. But I am here to say, DeAndre, I know you're watching. So come a little closer for a moment. You do not want to go back to Bill O'Brien. Come on. You could not stand another year of offensive meetings looking at that butt chin, thinking that's the guy who traded me away for David Johnson, who's out of the league now, and some day 3 picks or whatever. Don't do it. Do future you a favor, DeAndre. You'll have a lot more fun in Cleveland. Touchdowns, more than one way, no pun intended, at the airfield and at Cleveland Browns Stadium. So I would definitely suggest going to the Browns over the Patriots, but the Panthers could make some sense as well. Next up on the show, I want to talk about USA Today's breakout candidate for Cleveland. See who they selected for the Brownies, and we'll kind of break this down and whatnot. But before we do, I just want to give some shout-outs to those of you who have been subscribed, who have been frequent commenters here. Chris Reed, Jonathan Copley, he is the king of F-Pits. Pink Diamond, Akron Kid, thank you guys so much for subscribing. And hey, if you want to get a shout out, if you want to be on screen, hit that sub button down below and we'll make that happen. Now, Elijah Moore is the breakout candidate for USA Today, specifically the Browns Wire and Cory Kinnan. Moore, as we know, had a very strong offseason full of workouts and OTAs and minicamp, really developed a nice connection with Deshaun Watson, what is more or less glorified flag football, but you'd rather have a good connection than have a slow start to the offseason. And we are talking about a former top 35 pick, 34th overall by the Jets, someone I was super high on coming out of Ole Miss. So I'm excited to see the Elijah Moore breakout season this year. I'm also excited to see you guys getting your own Browns polo. Look at me and this handsome fella matching. You can get your own Cleveland Browns polo on sale too when you go to chatsports.com/Browns polo. I love these polos so much, I had to get one for myself. They were on sale, so I was losing money, as I like to say, if I did not get the polo. So get yours today. That link's in the comments and the description of today's video. You can get it with Brownie the Elf. You can get it in a variety of colors. A lot of great options. Now, here's what Cory Kinnan said about Elijah Moore as a breakout candidate. Moore has been quite involved throughout voluntary and mandatory minicamp as he builds rapport with new quarterback Deshaun Watson. Look for Moore to have a big year in 2023. Moore is coming off a bit of a down year, to say the least, last year. There's no sugarcoating it. Played in 16 games and only scored 1 touchdown, 446 yards. We know that there was a lot of frustration brewing between him and the coaching staff and his role on the team. So I didn't look at that as an attitude issue because he ended up more or less, being right. The Jets moved on from their offensive coordinator. They wanted to move on from him so badly, they decided, who's a better candidate? Nathaniel Hackett, the fraud from Denver who was the worst offensive coordinator last year or led the worst offense in football last year. But I want to look specifically at 2021, when he put up 538 yards in 11 games before an injury cut his season short. And if you take his 2021 stats and prorate them over a 17-game season, as a rookie, 7 touchdowns, 831 yards, this is the player the Cleveland Browns think they are getting, and they believe if he was able to do that with Zach Wilson in a horrible passing game, imagine the type of production we're going to get out of him with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. That is what Cleveland is betting on, and I like that bet. I also liked Elijah Moore coming out of Ole Miss. He was the guy that did the dog peeing celebration. I don't think many people connected those dots right there. But that's Elijah Moore. It made for an all-time Thanksgiving night. 1,100 yards in his last season in Oxford, 8 touchdowns, an explosive player. He averaged 13.9 yards a reception. Elijah Moore, I think, is going to end up as this team's wide receiver too, for a handful of reasons. But the big one is, what did Cleveland need in this wide receiver room going into the offseason? Bueller, speed. They get that in Elijah Moore. So that, plus Deshaun Watson, equals 6 points. I also wonder, with the future of Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones a little murky, with DPJ being a free agent in 2024, and Amari Cooper having a $23 million cap hit, I wonder if Kevin Stefanski and DePodesta and Andrew Berry are going to get together and go, hey, Elijah Moore is on this team in 2024. I can't guarantee the same for Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones. So, Kevin, could you maybe drop some plays for Elijah Moore, force feed him the football? Because if we get priced out for Donovan Peoples-Jones and we have to move on from Cooper to save some money, well, we'd like to have a receiver emerge that had a big role in 2023, so we aren't starting at ground zero necessarily. So how about we force feed Elijah Moore the football a little bit? Just some food for thought right there. Now, who is your breakout candidate? I love the Elijah Moore selection. I think he's going to have a great season. He is someone that I will put my name next to and get old takes, cold takes exposed, or whatever it is if he does not live up to the billing. But I think Elijah Moore will have a great year. I also think that producer Roley is not going to get the card right. It is that time. Pick a card moment.
I'm going to nail it.
You're not going to get it. You're not going to get the suit right, and you're not going to be within 2 of the number. That's how far off you'll be.
Disrespectful.
It's loud.
PD disrespected my New England Patriots earlier in this show. I didn't like that. And with revenge, I am going to absolutely nail this pick, and I'm going to tie it up 1-1.
Okay.
Producers versus PD.
Uh-huh.
And with that being said, because DeAndre Hopkins is a stud and a New England Patriot, he is going to be wearing number 10. No, he won't be. He won't be because Mac Jones is number 10.
Uh-oh.
He'll be wearing number 6. And
Already trouble in paradise.
6 of diamonds.
6 of diamonds. I'm going to go with the King of Spades.
Go big or go home.
One last cut for good measure.
Go big or go home for Petey.
We weren't even close.
No?
2 of clubs.
I always get twos.
Number.
I always
hate
get twos.
The 2s and the 3s. If you win on a 2 or 3, I know it counts, but it feels like a Mickey Mouse championship. That's going to do it for us on this edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. Thank you so much for tuning in, taking time out of your day to come hang out with us. Subscribe, like the video, notifications, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys later.